Grab a cup of coffee and hang with us as we introduce you to your newest favorite author. Gossip alert, nothing's off limits on HEA Hot Seat.
Well, I just got nervous listening to that intro. Nothing's off limits.
No, nothing
Tell
is.
me. Yeah.
We're here today with Jami Albright, who is a very well-known rom-com author. And she has been very, very popular with her Runaway Bride series and her other follow-up rom-coms. And we're just delighted that she could be here with us to talk about her new book and a little bit about some other things she's been doing.
Yeah.
Jami, how did you get into writing rom-coms?
Well, it probably was the only thing I could have written at the time. I was a big reader, and but I had also been very sad. So we had moved to Houston. Had left all my friends. I didn't have any friends for a long time. I was also going through menopause, which my daughters call the dark years. And so exactly. And so I had but I was reading a lot, and I picked up a Susan Elizabeth Phillips book, and I remember reading that book and sitting there laughing hysterically and really thinking, what's that sound? Not realizing it was me laughing hysterically, because it had been so long since I'd laughed like that, because I had been so sad, because I'd left all my friends and everything. And so I remember thinking, if I ever wrote a book, which at the time I never considered, I would want to write something like this, because I want to make people this way. It was amazing. And then fast forward some years, I don't know, a few years, and it was going to be my reading buddy's birthday. And I never wrote any. I've made up a lot of stories in my head, but I never wrote them because I have terrible grammar and was always embarrassed. And I thought, well, Jennifer won't care. She'll get it for what, she'll receive it for what it is. I'm writing her story because we read all the time. And I wrote myself in a corner really fast because I didn't know what I was doing. But I bought Writing Romance for Dummies and read that. And it was surprisingly good. I mean, knowing what I know now, it was actually quite good. And talked to her about it, and we sort of loosely brainstormed what became my first book, which is Running from a Rock Star. And then I joined Romance Writers of America, where I met you guys. And then the rest is history. And that was when I was 50. So I never really wrote a word of fiction until I was 50. Yeah.
Wow. Now, are you still doing your brainstorm group with Erica Kelly and those girls?
I am. But we do it online, after 2020, after COVID and everything, we went online, and now we have people from all over the country that
really?
brainstorm with us. Yeah. So it's so helpful still, and it's sort of morphed into more of a mastermind than even a brainstorming. We talk a lot about marketing and what could be, where could you take things next? We talked a lot about my new book and stuff like that. So
did they help you workshop this completely different genre for you?
They helped me, yes, but mostly it was just support. Like when I would say, I don't think I can do this, they would like, yes, you can do this, you can do it. And they were just incredibly supportive. And honestly, I mean, as we'll probably get into, for 3 of the years that we've been doing this, we've been doing it forever, but since 2020, but since 2022, I wasn't writing until last year in April. I started writing again. And so I was going every week, and they were still just so supportive, even though I wasn't writing. But they just have been my people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you were still going, that helps.
Yeah. I don't really know how to quit. So yeah.
When we read the book, we read Summer That Changed Us. We both recognized your voice, but it's much, much different kind of book than what you wrote before. So will you talk for our audience what are the books about?
Yeah. So the Summer That Changed Us is a women's fiction, kind of book club fiction book, very, very different genre wise from my bride's book or my rom-coms. But I think the voice is a lot the same. But it's inspired by the last few months of my sister's life. So in 2022, my sister, who had battled cancer for 10 years, um, got very sick and died. And so there was like a 6 month period, but in the book, it's only a couple of months, where my whole family, I have four sisters and my mom and dad and her husband and everyone just came together and took care of her until she died. And so after that happened, I knew I wouldn't be able to write. You just don't go through something like that. And I was one of the primary caregivers. I took care of her medicine and everything. And so I thought, well, it'll be a year before I can write, I'm sure. Well, then when 1 year turned into 2 years and 2 years turned into 3 years and I'm still not writing, I was just like, I don't know if I'll ever write again. It's hard to write funny when you don't feel funny, when your heart is broken. And when you go through something like that, it changes you. You're just not the same person. So a friend of mine, Janet Margot, who is she's does a lot of Amazon ad stuff in the author world, and I met her at a conference. But we had dinner together in Mexico City 6 months before I started writing this book, and she suggested that I write this book. She was going through her own grief journey, and in talking about it, she was like, "I just think you have something that the world needs to know about." And I'm like, no, thank you. Anything worse. And so, but it wouldn't I just couldn't let go of it. But the big problem was I couldn't figure out how I would tell the story,
Right, the tone.
you, who I would do it, did I do it from all the sisters' point of view, or points of view? I couldn't do it from the dying sister's point of view. I didn't think, because I don't know what that feels like,
Right.
um, and then one day I was just in the car and the whole thing just laid out in front of me how I could tell it, and it not be specifically a grief book, but more of a woman's journey kind of
Right.
book. And so that is the story. I mean, there was a lot that went into it. I sat down to write it on April 19th last year. I know that because I started taking Adderall that day, for my adult ADHD. And I wrote the first draft in 6 weeks. I've never written a first draft that fast.
Wow.
And but then summer came and I had to do some things in the summer and then I got back to it. But the first draft was there were fictional elements in it, like Hope is still the main character and all of this, but it was our story. It was pretty much everything that happened to us. And so then when I came back to it, and I could have stopped then. I could have said, you know what? I've written it down. My mom has very few memories of that time. I think it was just too much. And so
Right.
I could have given that to her and said, here's what happened. But I just felt like there was something there. And so when I came back to it, I had to take a nonfiction story and make it fictional.
Right.
And that was difficult because I had to cut out so much, things that were important to us, but didn't
Right.
really serve the overall story. Yeah,
Right.
that was hard.
But that you still were able to share your family's resilience in the
Yeah.
face of this trauma and tragedy and the humor. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys were, are you seriously that crazy in real life?
We are seriously that crazy. I said on another podcast, we're just a little bit redneck. And so that plays out in a lot of ways. And we're terribly inappropriate. I mean, and my sister who passed, Joni was her name. She is the most inappropriate of us all. And so the scene in the book about the tallywhacker,
Yes.
that really happened. That
Really?
really happened. Yes. Yes. And my husband was there and he just was like, please stop talking. Please stop talking.
Hysterical.
Because, yeah,
Your
but I
mom-
mean, so it was, yeah, there were times that she just had us in stitches, or things would happen and we would just be looking at each other like, how have we gotten here? But it was just too funny to not laugh at. It was
Right.
either that or just crawl in a hole, and we couldn't crawl in a hole. She needed
Well,
us.
and that you in real life, all of you kept her spirits up with your humor and antics.
Yes.
And the,
Yeah.
the chin hairs, you better not let me,
Yes.
be buried with chin hairs or I'll come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
You guys, this
Yeah.
is such a serious topic, and you were able to just weave it in such a wonderful way.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot because it is a serious topic. I mean, it's never hard to I mean, it's never easy to read
Totally.
about someone dying. And hopefully I made June lovable enough that it was really hard to watch her die, but it's still, you know, I really wanted to keep her spirit, my sister's spirit in June.
True. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What was interesting, I had to write this down. It was so beautiful. Is your narrator Hope says because there's so many ups and downs in real life and in your book, where the cancer victim is getting better, and then there's this horrible downshift, and Hope says, in the season of life and dying, she is the kite and we are the tail. And that was just like, I had to stop. I truly had to put the book down for a while.
Oh,
beautiful, right?
Thank you. Thank you. And it was true though. I mean, she was, even before she got really sick, I mean, she had been sick for 10 years and we would have to remind her, you have cancer, right? I mean, she just refused to. And I really believe that's how she lived so long with it. She just refused to think it was, was going to affect her that much. And in fact, she did say the day she went on hospice, I really never thought this would take me out. And we're like, really? Really? It was stage 4, sis, but she
whoops,
always the kite and we were the tail. I mean, she just was so beautiful in so many ways and just sort of carried us along with her in a lot of ways. So, yeah. But thank you for saying that.
So what is in your future? I mean, you went from these brilliant, hysterical rom-coms to this funny but tragic women's fiction. What are you thinking?
Yeah. I have an idea. I can't start writing until July. I was just telling you guys before we get on the air, I teach swimming lessons every year. It's something I feel really passionate about. And so I do it every June, and I sort of set aside that time, and I don't write or anything during that time. But I have a story, another women's fiction story. Kind of, I really found that I like examining these relationships between women. And so this is a multi-generational road trip sort of story that I'm kicking around in my head. I've been writing in my head. I don't write outlines, but I do a lot of in my head writing before I start. So yeah.
Oh, yay. Good for you.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
I don't know. I would like to go back to, I love rom-coms. I don't have any, I still love them. I just don't know that my voice, my rom-coms have always been pretty emotional. If I get any critiques, it's, wow, this book was a little more emotional than I was expecting for a rom-com. And I'm afraid that it would be even that. So I don't know, still have a voice for a rom-com. I could try. I'm not opposed to trying. It may just be a funny contemporary romance as opposed to a rom-com. But right now, I think I'm just going to stick with this next story. But it takes me forever to write a story. So, who knows how long that'll take.
As the woman who wrote this in 6 weeks. I can't
but
even
Jami, I think as we get a little older, we start thinking about some different things, and we look at relationships a little differently. And I mean, I find in my own writing, I'm adding parents to books, and I never put parents in books before, but sometimes the mother is the one I relate to, as opposed to the heroine. And I think just as we grow as writers, we tend to change the stories that we want to tell.
Yeah. And it's been, it just on the business side of it, I've done some things right and I've done some things wrong, or not wrong, that I could have I should have thought about a little bit more. And, we probably don't have time to go into that. But if you ever want to have me back, I can talk about that because,
But
I mean, there were
absolutely.
things like art. I did had changing genres, and I thought, well, I'll go because NetGalley is a better site for women's fiction. But I need an art. I needed an art team. I needed those reviews to come in. Just little things like that I sort of thought the book would take care of itself that way. But the fact is, no book takes care of itself. You have
Right.
to take care of
Yeah.
it when you
Well,
release it.
tell us a little bit about your
Unfortunately.
podcast, speaking of that, because you give so much
Yeah.
back to writers.
Yeah. I co-host the Wish I'd Known Them for Writers podcast. We have over 500,000 downloads. And so we have tons of information for authors. It's an interview type podcast. We ask all our guests the same questions pretty much, but it's about what they wish they'd known when they started writing. And we have some really, really successful authors. We have industry professionals. Sarah and I, my co-host, she and I do just episodes where we're talking back and forth. But yeah, so we have a ton of information. A lot of it's evergreen, a lot of it's not, because things change in this business so much. But yeah, it's you can find it wherever you find all your podcasts. We don't do a video podcast because neither one of us want to get dressed enough to do that. But
My earrings on.
yes, exactly. So yeah, that's it, and we love it. We've been doing it since 2020, so yeah, we have a lot of information there. Yeah.
Well, at the end of each interview, we have a hot seat question.
Oh, okay. Here we
And
go.
so here's yours.
Uh-huh.
What is your most embarrassing moment that found its way into your rom-coms?
Oh shoot. Oh, I'd have to think. I don't know. I have a really embarrassing moment that involves Susan Elizabeth Phillips, but it hasn't. I was too embarrassed to put it into the rom-com.
Okay, well, you have to tell us that
I
one.
stalked Susan Elizabeth Phillips for 3 days. Yeah, I stalked Susan Elizabeth Phillips for 3 days at a Romance Writers of America conference. All I had wanted was to just say thank you, because of you, I write, thank you so much. And the first day she gets on the elevator, I'm in the elevator with Jennifer from our RWA group. And she walks on and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. So I take her hand and I'm like trying to tell her, and the elevator gets to the floor and Jennifer says, it's Jami, this is our floor. I'm like, go ahead. I'll catch up. And I'm like holding this woman's hand. Her assistant had to pry me off, so they could get off. And then, so the next day I go and I'm going to make it up. I'm going to fix it. Well, I start crying when I start talking to her and she's like, would you like a picture? And I'm like, yes. And so the third day I am the last person in her line at the signing up. And before I walk up to the table, I said, I swear I'm not a stalker. I just can't get this out. And so she let me say it. I have a perfectly lovely picture with her. But yeah, it was horribly embarrassing. That was probably my most embarrassing moment.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Someday we'll get together and I'll tell you my Nora Roberts story.
Okay, there you go. We
great.
all have them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being our guest. I so appreciate your
You're
time.
welcome.
Yeah,
Best of
thank you
luck.
very
You're
much.
welcome.
And I hope
Thank
to
you
see
for
you
having
sometime
me.
in Houston.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that. You
Great.
guys take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jami. Bye-bye.
Bye.